against same-sex marriage, now you're for it. You defended President Obama's immigration policies, now you say they're too harsh. You supported his trade deal dozens of times. You even called it the gold standard. Now, suddenly last week, you're against it. Will you say anything to get elected?
Well, actually, I have been very consistent over the course of my entire life.
So I keep picturing myself talking to the judge, and I guess it's just the judge and the county attorney and a bunch of people who hate me, really. I don't even have a jury. Even my own lawyer doesn't want to do anything to step on the toes of the judge. He doesn't want to do any of my defense. And, the first thing that I keep on thinking is that these people hate me. I mean, they hate me and because they're conservatives, and no doubt the people who I hear, and I hear them because I infiltrate their groups and I check out what they're saying, usually just to find out what they're, usually it's Hillary groups, but plenty of Trump. I have a couple of places where I can, forums and stuff where I can listen to what Trump supporters say, and they call us traitors, and they say we should be hung or we should be shot, and they're saying under the law we should be shot or hung. I mean, that's how, is that fair? Just because we know how bad they are, and when they hear us talk about how bad they are, that angers them so much that they call us traitors? Is that right? No, of course that's not right. In a sane world, people would take us seriously. We're basically calling them traitors, so they turn around and call us traitors, right? I'm not saying I think they should be shot or killed, but I do believe they're traitors to our country. Look at me. I went to Lebanon and I got hit in the eye with a rock by a Palestinian. I never did anything to a Palestinian, but they did, and that's why that Palestinian was all pissed off, right? Isn't that what that was all about, really? He was pissed off and he was looking for an American to see how bad if he could have killed me, he probably would. Let's face it, my country backing Israel ran him off of his home and out of his country to become a refugee. And I was up there with all these rich white people. There's a whole community in Babda that they kind of all lived in this one set of apartments, the richer ones, the ones with better jobs, the ones who were in the CIA, people who said they were UNESCO or UN or what, but in fact they were not. And that's why one of them, my best friend's father, died. Palestinians, Lebanese, they're not stupid. You think they're stupid? You ought to meet some of them. You ought to meet Paul Salem, graduated from Harvard and is considered, and his dad. Lebanese are not stupid, and the people who killed Mr. Waugh, I forget what his first name is. It's been 30 years. They knew what they were doing. They they tied him up to a tree, made him watch while they raped the girl. And this is right down the hill from me. They did it, and no doubt some of them, I never found out exactly who they were. I thought they'd be Palestinian, but now that I think about it, considering the location, they were more or less pre-Hezbollah, right? All those people down there are Shia Muslims, and they vary from wealthy to poor. And right below us was a whole bunch of poor people. We lived on a hill sticking out, and there was a hill on the other side, and in between a little valley, and it's called Sebnaya, and really nice people. One of the old ladies, not old, maybe 30, but to me she was old, babysitted me, and she sat out in front of my door all night on the ground. They're incredibly loyal. mean, even if they don't know you, really, even if they haven't developed loyalty, loyalty is a part of their culture, you know? If somebody trusts you, then there's kind of a code of ethics that they have about how loyal they are. Even though really, we were their enemy. I mean, the reason that my dad stayed in Lebanon after he lost his job there was because the CIA, or whoever, military intelligence probably is who it really was, but the CIA and everybody else gets all the reports, decided that he was in a good place to use him. So they give him a job with Singer. Pretty good job, pays pretty well. Not great, but compared to whatever he's ever made, it's, a fortune. And what's he supposed to do? Well, not only is he supposed to report, like, the whereabouts of certain Palestinians, if he can find out, which he could very easily. The whole factory that he was running before he worked for Singer was Armenians, who are all anyway, I'm not going to get into the details. The point is that I was there in harm's way, and I got hurt, physically hurt. And that wasn't the only time, man. I had a gun waved in my face while a guy blew his nose on an American flag, telling me about how fucked up I am because I'm an American. And that 45, I don't know why, but it didn't even scare me. Not at the time. I mean, I laughed at him, and his name was Claude, and I started calling him Clodhopper all the time. I think they did get rid of him. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, he was working for Patty Shamoon at the modeling school that my mom had. So, all I'm trying to say is, I've had my fair share. I've suffered at the hands of the conservatives' enemies. And the people who I suffered from, they certainly did have a reason to want to hurt me. I mean, my family pays taxes that pay for bombs that have killed their family, right? I mean, it's happened. And people don't wait till the last minute to get over it. Talk about dangerous. Anyway, driving in Lexington is ridiculous. I mean, look at me. I'm already in the lane that I need to be in for when I get to where I'm getting off the freeway. And when I get off the freeway, I'll be in the lane the whole way, unless I hit some really slow traffic and I think I can get around it, but I usually don't even bother. I usually just stay in the lane. And these people, they always, look at the guy waited until we were 50 feet from, 50 yards at the very least, from getting off, and then he decided to just do that, It just shows that Americans are not, I mean, people should be taught not to do that and a million other things that they do. Anyway, so, I mean, in Lebanon, I paid for it. In Indonesia, well, I came close, but I was only there for 14 months, so, I managed. In Saudi Arabia, really didn't have that much to do with the locals except for Osama bin Laden. And that was on purpose. My dad put him and me together on the plane on the way over there. I had no idea who this guy was. And I agreed to come to his house and meet with him and his brother and hang out. And I thought, this will be fun. I mean, they're fluent in English. And I'd been hanging out with, Lebanese Americans, really, for the most part, all my life, or Arab Americans in one sort or another. So it wasn't anything unusual, but boy, when I got there, it was unusual, and I never went back. I mean, it was kind of weirding. I mean, it weirded me out. God, that guy was really flying. investigating the shit out of that guy. And there he goes against 2 lanes of traffic. Wow, what a prick, huh? A little bit about politics and a little bit in the legal system and a little bit about driving in America. I mean, I will be ecstatic when everything is automated. People do not have the intelligence they need to drive. I mean, I come close, right? But still, I lose my attention from time to time. I've almost fallen asleep a couple times on long trips, and I should have had the sense to pull over and just crash out for a while. I usually do, but every once in a while I'll push it a little too far. And I really don't mean to when I do it either. So, you know, we were traveling around, and we were basically just gathering information for the people who are doing the really bad shit, right? So for the Israelis who are the IDF and all them, they're the ones who benefit from what we were doing, and that includes me, because I was unknowingly gathering information from my dad. I was unknowingly creating excellent contacts for him to do his job, which you got to understand is a not official capacity, which is what he is, or you could call him sheep-dipped. He officially isn't doing anything for the CIA, but everything he does is obviously for the CIA. And I'm not saying that he didn't technically work for the CIA. I mean, I don't know who he was working for. I know who his handlers were, and they were his bosses. And they were people like a wealthy Jew in Boston who I thought worked for Singer. And I still don't understand that relationship. But Joe Oppenheim, who when I refused to go back to Oxford, asked me if I wanted to go to Harvard with no grades. I mean, that's how these things work, and that's how you know. I mean, some guy like Joe Oppenheim from Boston is surely dead by now, or he's very old. Matter of fact, I'm going to try and track him down. He could be alive still. Dad died a little young, and these old Jews, man, they last forever. And I knew his son. I'll just say I'm trying to get a hold of his son. So, maybe I can find his wife. I mean, maybe he wasn't that much older than my dad. I don't know. I'll have to find out. So, Joe Oppenheim was definitely, okay, he was just too nice to us. That's why I know. I mean, who offers to get somebody else's kid into Harvard when I have a history of bad grades? You know, I didn't like a lot of the classes they made me take, especially in my senior year before this happened. I mean, calculus, what the fuck do I need to know what the area underneath a curve is? Give me a fucking break. I think that's calculus. You know, French, I ended up never using it, but I don't really begrudge them that. But a lot of the math I could have done on my own, just depending on what I was interested in, instead of being forced to learn it. You know, geometry and algebra, it's all useful, but really you should just have a 10-minute class, kind of an overview of how it works, and that's all you're going to remember anyway. And then if you're interested, you go on into it. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. I have problems with just about everything. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. I have problems. I have analyzed these things: education, the economy, you know, the legal system. Obviously, is my focus right now because God, it's fun. And you'll hear about it all sooner or later. Here's the paddy wagon they should have had waiting for me. Instead, they crammed me inside some kind of car because I refused to wait for it. And this asshole, what kind of hurry could he be in? He's not an ambulance. He's not a cop car chasing somebody. He's just in a hurry. might cause an accident. You can't wait in the light. It's endless, man. I mean, I can't go anywhere and not... I mean, I can't talk to somebody and not have them talk to me the way I'm talking to you. My camcorder, by the way. Just in case anybody's listening in on my phone. Assholes. So, you know, everywhere I go. I mean, the last place that I went, and I've got that recorded already, me talking to you. You are my camcorder. About, I mean, I've only met one person in the last week, and that guy, well, I'm trying to think if I didn't tell you everything he told me. I mean, I told you about how they arrested him just because he said, you make me want to shoot myself in the head. And they arrested him for being suicidal. And then once they got him down there, because they dragged him out of his house and he'd been drinking in his house by himself. They drag him downtown and they make him take a breathalyzer, which he shouldn't have taken, and tell him that he's being arrested now for public intoxication because now he's in public, right? Which isn't technically true. If they arrest you, you're not really in public. Certainly not voluntarily. And by the way, just this morning I heard that they're trying to charge somebody. What the hell was that? It just went through my mind and out the other ear. Well, it was about the protesters who are being railroaded. And one of the things they said was absolutely ludicrous. So, you know, we'll cover that. I will absolutely get on the World Socialist website and post that and talk about it. I mean, God, the shit they're pulling to hurt these people. Is just disgusting. Social interaction, right? And as I say, I don't know about anybody else, and that's the last time I say it, but I don't ever, like if I find a girl hot, right, I don't ever talk to her unless she gives off at least some of those signs, you know, that come hither look, and she might talk to me, you know, might even talk to me a little too much, you know. I know, everybody, you know it when you see it. And these sexual predators that we're finding out, there's so many of them. What I said to my mom this morning was, because quite often I'll be there in the morning and catch her before she goes, and you know, I mean, I'd usually be with the dog this time of the morning. The dog doesn't do well by herself, and me and my mom both try to be there when the other one isn't there, just for the dog. I know, people will say, well, that's kind of, I don't know. You know, they'll say that's kind of girly or something. And I get that. You know, it is a little bit. But nevertheless, I don't even know how I got off on that, but this stuff, what I said to her, so what I said to her was that when you combine conservative attitudes, so John Wayne and all that, right, I don't know, I'm not going to go through the list of things that kind of define conservative attitudes, especially about women, you know, barefoot and pregnant and all that kind of stuff. You know when you see it, and I don't have to explain it to you. When you combine that attitude with money and power, it's become obvious now that when you combine that attitude with money and power, and then probably sprinkle in a little bit of perversity, right? Who knows what kind? You end up with monsters. You know, this morning it's Charlie Rose. The guy just couldn't seem to keep his dick covered up. You know what I mean? He was basically flashing women. He would try to molest them from time to time, or press his body up against theirs, which is molestation. And whatever, you know. And I can tell when it's real and when it's not real. Like with Al Franken, you've got another person coming up, and what is she saying, this one? I mean, come on. The first one was utter bullshit. It was an actress. An actress knows that she may be required to kiss somebody during the act, and therefore kiss them during rehearsal. They know that. And if they don't know that, then they need to get out of the business. You know? You don't agree to be alongside somebody if you're not going to be willing to kiss them in rehearsal and on the stage. You just don't do that. That's rude. So we know that she's a Republican operative, okay? I mean, that's pretty plain. Somebody's promised her that she's going to get parts or whatever. She'll probably, I mean, she's got to be desperate. I've never even heard of her. I don't even know how she calls herself an actress. Okay, so she's hot. So what? She was. Now she's over that. She's past that age. You know, she's no longer 20 years old. And so she's desperate for parts. And so she's desperate, period. And so somebody is, you know, somebody, and they would. You know, if she could torpedo Al Franken, a great guy who's pissed off of an enormous amount, especially when he went after the Halliburton people over holding that poor girl in a shipping container, and did they rape her? I forget what they did to her, but they drugged her. You know, they didn't like the fact that she wasn't willing to let her fuck her. You know, that pissed them off. So they decided to throw her in a shipping. I mean, these are a bunch of gung-ho fucking assholes, right? These are the same people that they're training to make America and Americans afraid. That's what that's all about. And so they tell them that they can do anything they want to anybody, especially in some place like Iraq. Not so much in America, but for sure when they get these gigs in Iraq. They know that they can get away with murder, and they just about did. I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd put a bullet in her head. But the fact is that somebody she knew, or somebody, or her father or somebody was somebody. And she managed one way or another to get word out to them. So of course they hate Al Franken. You know, and that's just one thing. I mean, Al Franken's been on their ass about real things, and that's what they hate. I mean, that's what I was talking about earlier. I mean, it's funny how what I say always ties together. I mean, they don't hate us because of who we are. They hate us because of who they are. Okay? I mean, let's make that really clear. This isn't about hating Democrats or hating progressives or whatever, because most of the Democrats who get on their bad side are progressives. This is about being mad because they get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, right? So, I mean, let's be clear about that. I mean, probably the most important point in all this stuff, right? Don't you think? I do think so. Definitely the most important point. They're mad because they're bad. Let's just make that a, let's write that on signs, and when we march, they're mad because they're bad. How does that sound? Sounds good to me. They're mad because they're bad. Yeah, they call us traitors. So they create an endless war, and then they say to criticize anybody in power during a war, which isn't really a war. It's just a murderous deal, And then on top of that, they're going to turn it against Americans by saying that anything we do, have to say about anything bad that their people do is treason, because it's being said to a leader during wartime. A leader. Boy, I just used that word loosely, didn't I? How obnoxious it is that the cops offer to lower your sentence if you're willing to snitch on somebody. And I think we should make it illegal. I mean, I think it's enough, If somebody wasn't willing to snitch on somebody before they got arrested, and now they're looking and they're being squeezed, they shouldn't have the right to get their sentence lowered by, at what point do we decide that some things just aren't right? I mean, if you knew that somebody murdered somebody and you had evidence on them, why do you wait until, in fact, if you're stupid enough to say to the police, and the police shouldn't be allowed to offer that deal, should not be allowed to offer that deal. It's too, it's coercion is what it is. They're coercing the person, and coercion definitely leads to false testimony. I mean, somebody's going to be able to say something total bullshit just to try and get their sentence lowered, or whatever, it doesn't belong there, okay? It doesn't belong there. People should be investigating whatever they're investigating, and they should leave people alone. I mean, all this stuff, it's all about domination anyway, right? I'm repeating that because that is what it's about. They want to dominate in the community. They want to dominate and control. Control is too small of a word. They want to dominate. I mean, I'd say that's what it's all about. I don't think it's even about catching criminals anymore. I mean, as far as they're concerned, I think the criminals could just run around. I mean, for the most part, the real criminals are running around. Most cases are unsolved. I forget what the success rate is when it comes to solving cases. I mean, it's pretty bad. Cops don't show up when you call. It takes half an hour for them to get there. I mean, they should have people standing by in the neighborhood waiting for calls. And the only excuse they would have is if they got too many calls in that neighborhood, they didn't have somebody. I mean, they got a ton of police. What the fuck are they doing? It's all bullshit. I mean, it all comes down to the same old shit. A bunch of lazy people want an excuse for a paycheck, just doing the minimum they can and less than the minimum most of the time, and doing bad things too while they're operating in this system to get a paycheck. Just to get a paycheck. It's all about the paycheck. I doubt very many of them ever wanted to be a cop, certainly not to serve and protect. That's not going That's not happening. So, you know, I mean, let's face it. It's a symptom of a sick system that's all about just having the power and control so that when your friends, you and your friends get in trouble because you're bad, they know they're bad, they know that they need this, they can get off, but everybody else, they want to just like tighten the thumb screws on, you know? Like me, I mean, I didn't do anything. You know what I did? Well, you're listening to it right now. I talked like this. I said, oh, it makes me feel like I want to kill somebody. Well, yeah. Ideas that, whenever I think about these people, thoughts run through my head. You know, everybody does, and anybody who says it doesn't is a liar. I mean, when you really get mad, you start contemplating, and don't tell me I'm the only one, because I know better. But you start contemplating really doing things, you know, and then after a few minutes, you're like, fuck, man, what are you thinking? Even though, I mean, let's face it, even though you probably have a right to do them. I mean, if somebody fucks with you severely, you know, do you have a right to revenge? Do you have a right to defend yourself? Well, yeah, of course you do. But like most people, we just say, well, you know, I'd probably be getting myself into just a shitload of trouble, mainly because of who I would be messing with, because of this system that protects them and kills people like me. I mean, literally, they kill people like me to fight back, and if we are stupid enough to fight back and resist. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. The whole thing in a nutshell, right? I mean, most people like me do not even think about actually doing something. I mean, we do think about it because it makes us so angry. I mean, I'm not saying, look, I wouldn't kill somebody over food stamps. I mean, that's not really the problem. I'd say when it comes to the food stamps, the real problem is what makes you want to kill them is just their arrogance and ego. It's not the food stamps itself. Fuck the food stamps, you know? Figure out how to get something to eat. Get my mom to feed me or something, you know? It's not the food stamps. It's the fucking assholes that we're having to deal with. I mean, what a bunch of pricks. And it's not the girls at the windows or anything like that. They're being abused too, and they're being abused to force them to abuse us. It's those other people, those, and like I said in the video that got me in trouble, they hide and they do their dirty work, you know, hiding away. That's it. You know, that's it. And am I wrong? Am I wrong? I mean, yeah, you know, it makes you want to kill them. Now, like I said again, I said the first time I said it, that you know of, on that recording. Because of course I would never do it, but boy, it makes you want to do it, doesn't it? It makes you, I mean, if you just, now, I would never kill somebody. And I don't think I would even hit them, but it makes you want to. You know, it makes you want to just beat them to death, right? I mean, that's what it makes you feel like. If you lined them all up in a row and handed me a gun, a machine gun, and said, go ahead, there they are, I wouldn't kill them. I'm not that kind of person. And even when I'm like enormously angry, you couldn't get me to pull the trigger. I mean, yeah, if someone came at me with a gun or an axe, I might shoot them. But first I'd try and run away. If they started shooting at me, I'd probably shoot back. I wouldn't shoot at somebody until they shot at me. I mean, unless we were like at point blank range, and you know, I'm gonna die anyway, right? I mean, they're gonna shoot me. And the way I feel about it is why should two people die, really? I don't have anything against dying. I mean, and I'm not afraid. You know, everybody's got to die sometime. It's kind of pointless to be afraid of it. And I don't know why, don't ask me why, but I firmly believe it's an adventure. You know? I mean, like Captain Hook in Hook, the movie with Robin Williams. Obviously not the Disney stupidity, the lily white bullshit. But, you know, the greatest adventure. Hook wasn't afraid to die at all. I mean, he didn't want to die, he wanted to stay and cause trouble, right? That was his whole MO, right? Be a prick. In a way, this establishment is Hook. Very much, and Hook is a suiting analogy. Because they do hook us.
In July, New Hampshire, you told the crowd you, quote, take a backseat to no one when it comes to progressive values.
I take a backseat to no one when you look at my record in standing up and fighting for progressive values.
Last month in Ohio, you said you plead guilty to, quote, being kind of moderate and center. Do you change your political identity based on who you're talking to?
No, I think that, like most people that I know, I have a range of views, but they are rooted in my values and my experience.
You know, I get accused of being kind of moderate and center. I plead guilty.
Just for the record, are you a progressive or are you a moderate?
I'm a
never before seen video of Hillary Clinton inside the Walmart empire. She's probably one of the most investigative politicians in American history. And this morning you're going to see her in a way you've never seen her before, serving on the board of Walmart. ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Brian Ross is here with details on this. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Robin. Although she makes no mention of it in her official biography, Hillary Clinton served for 6 years on the board of Walmart, the huge retailer criticized by many for its treatment of workers and its strident opposition to unions. Walmart's opposition to unions was led for decades by labor lawyer John Tate, who after his retirement proudly recalled at this company meeting in 2004 what he said was his favorite phrase.
Labor unions are nothing but blood-sucking parasites living off of the productive labor of people who work for a living.
Hillary Clinton was not present at this Walmart meeting, but Tate was relied on for years to keep unions out at Walmart, including during the 6 years from 1986 to 92, when Clinton was on the Walmart board and Tate was either an executive or a member of the board himself.
Going through the emails, there were over 60,000 in total sent and received. About half were work-related and went to the State Department. and about half were personal, that were not in any way related to my work.
When you speak to the public, you say, I turned over everything. That's, for the most part, a direct quote. When you talk to the public, you say, I turned over everything. 90 to 95% of my work-related emails were in the state system. If they wanted to see them, they would certainly have been able to do so. You know what? That is maybe the 10th time you have cited that figure today. It is. And I have not heard anyone other than you ever cite that figure. Who told you that 90 to 95% of your emails were in the State Department system? Who told you that? We learned that from the State Department in their analysis of the emails that were already on the system. The Inspector General report found that less than 1% of State Department emails, record emails, were captured. So they give a number of less than 1%, and you give a number of 90%.
Interest in Libya in 2012.
The server contains personal communications from my husband and me.
Only time I got on the internet, I did 2 emails, and I ordered Christmas presents from a reservation. Otherwise, I found people said embarrassing things on emails. I didn't want to be one of them.
I mean, and how many angels dance on the head of a pin? I have really nothing to. I mean,
I represented Wall Street as a senator from New York, and I went to Wall Street in December of 2007, before the big crash that we had, and I basically said, cut it out. Quit foreclosing on homes. Quit engaging in these kinds of speculative behaviors.
Now, who's exactly to blame for the housing crisis? And I think there's plenty of blame to go around. Home buyers who paid extra fees to avoid documenting their income should have known they were getting in over their heads.
Of course we have to deal with the problem that the banks are still too big to fail. We can never let the American taxpayer and middle-class families ever have to bail out the kind of speculative behavior that we saw. But we also have to worry about some of the other players. AIG, a big insurance company, Lehman Brothers, an investment bank. There's this whole area called shadow banking. That's where the experts tell me the next potential problem could come from. So I'm with both Senator Sanders and Governor O'Malley in putting a lot of... I represented New York, and I represented New York on 9/11. When we were attacked, where were we attacked? We were attacked in downtown Manhattan, where Wall Street is. I did spend a whole lot of time and effort helping them rebuild. That was good for New York, it was good for the economy, and it was a way to rebuke the terrorists who had attacked our country.
9/11 was bad.
I agree with you.
As Senator Clinton, the pressures are very different. It's a well-financed industry. A lot of people don't realize that the industry that gave the most money to Washington over the past few years It was not the oil industry. It was not pharmaceuticals. It was consumer credit products. Those are the people, the credit card companies have been giving money, and they have influence.
And Mrs. Clinton was one of them, a senator.
She has taken money from the groups, and more to the point, she worries about them as a constituency.
So what does this mean, though, to these people, these millions of people out there whom the politicians cavort in front of as favoring the middle class and then are beholden to the powerful interests that undermine the middle class? What does it say about politics today?
You know, this is the scary part about democracy today. We're talking again about the impact of money. The credit industry on this bankruptcy bill has spent tens of millions of dollars lobbying, and as their profits grow, they just throw more into lobbying for how they can get laws that will make it easier and easier and easier to drain money out of the pockets of middle-class families.